topic which we are going to discuss today, that is the design of bridge foundation. So a little bit about myself before starting this project or this presentation about the bridge foundations. Myself, Abhis Sharma, and I have been working into the bridge and road sector from almost 8 years now. And I have worked in India and as well as Middle East and also few of the European nations where I have designed bridges, I have assessed bridges, and also have done the assessment for the bridges in the Europe as well. I mean, when we talk about what bridges are, we generally have in our system or we have in our roads, or not only the things that we at the high flood level bridges, but we do have all the flyovers and all the roads and all the network structures. So basically, the infrastructure, all that we develop along our country and also in the international market. I would like to walk through what kind of scenarios of the civil engineering first, and then we will come back to the bridges and the main topic that we are sharing, that is the bridge foundations. If we talk about the introduction to the civil engineering, as you all, I hope most of the people in our meeting today are the civil engineers, so aspiring civil engineers, maybe the final year students, or maybe the one who are already working in this field. But yes, when we talk about the other engineering fields, I think civil engineering is one of those fields where you can actually see out your work, how what you are doing, and how it is impacting the world. When we are talking about the computers, about the electronics and the other stuff, it's there, but you cannot visualize those things. So civil engineering is that kind of engineering that you actually go on the sites, you do your stuff, and you can actually see your output, what you have done. And it gives you immense kind of confidence that yes, you have created something out of your knowledge, what you're learning in your colleges, or you're putting into practicality and the field. So the main question, whenever someone is gonna choose civil engineering, it's there that why we wanna choose civil engineering. So people out there, they like this, that was the only option for me. A few of the people, they do have some backgrounds in the civil engineering and their families, and few people do have their businesses as well. So that's why they want to do the civil engineering. But do you have the core responsibility? I would say, I won't say the knowledge. I would say the responsibility you want to take as a civil engineer, because when you construct something, when you design something, you put it on a field, you have to bear that responsibility of that structure, of that road, of anything you are making, because it is directly impacting the lives of the people who are using them. It will be the public property, it will be the useful for the nation, and you will be the part of it. So do you have that responsibility in you to choose this field? So I would say that not only the calculations, not only the construction part, but the responsibility as well should be there when you're choosing this field. So when we talk about the opportunities in the field, yes, there are. I mean, the infrastructure development is on high role in India. I mean, not only the structural things, but not only the roads, but also the sectors. As we can see, there are a lot of smart city projects coming up. There's so many hydroelectric projects coming up, and then roads are always there, and also few FDIs are coming up. Many international companies are coming up in India. They want to utilize the engineers from India to work for them. Like earlier, we used to hear that there are a lot of IT companies in India. Those guys support other countries like US, like Canada, or many other things, many other countries. The similar thing is happening in civil engineering right now. I mean, there are so many companies who are trying to invest in India so that they can utilize the engineering stuff in India, and also the cost factors are also there because it is cheaper to work in India for them. So I mean, there are a lot of opportunities coming up with those international companies coming to India and helping us to work with them. The main thing that comes up with this, that are we competent enough to work for them? I mean, are we actually speeding up our skill set to match the qualities of those national as well as international clients? I mean, do we have those kind of stuff in our colleges? We do have all the subjects in our offices, in our colleges, in our curriculum. But do we have those extra skill sets that might be required for the jumping from one level to the another, to be useful to the companies, that why do they require you? It should be a question for you as well, that do you have those skill sets? So those skill sets not only are limited to the civil engineering aspects, but I would say those also need to you to have some software knowledge. Let's first say Microsoft Excel. This is one of the most simple and most of the extensively used software worldwide, and are acceptable as well. And then we have a few basic tools which I think you all are might aware of, like let's say AutoCAD is a basic tool used worldwide for drawings, for the making of the drawings. And then few checks and few analysis, we have STAAD Pro as well. I think most of you might be aware of these two softwares. But should we be limited to these two softwares? I mean, are there any other softwares in the market? So it's on us individual perspective as well, and it's on the college perspective as well, that we should know that where to put your time into, so that you should have a proper skill set. So as like saying it, so now the international market and even the Indian market, they are moving from the 2D things to the FEM. I think most of the students are words of this word. FEM is a finite element system. So most of the companies, most of the things, most of the structures, they want to do it in 3D modeling, not only for the structures but also for the roads. They're using MX roads as of now in the roads, and the buildings they're using ETABS. But now they are moving to in the structures, they're moving to Midas. I mean, doing the FEM analysis, they're doing to Midas, and there are other softwares as well in the market for the roads as well, and for the buildings as well. So we need to dig them up, that what should our skill set should be. So when we talk about the civil engineering, so I mean, the basic thing, whenever we talk to someone, maybe your senior, maybe your junior, or maybe anyone in the in a layman thing, we generally say the civil engineering is all about the structures. I mean, you see the building, you see the roads, you see the bridges, flyovers, and all those things. So you say that, yeah, this is the work of the civil engineer. So my question is, should civil engineering be only about the structures? So the answer would be no. I mean, if you just compare the things, let's say there is a movie, so you just say this movie is only about the actors. So it is not the case. There are directors, there are producers, there are spot boys, there are everyone who are supporting, and their role is equally important to bring up the movie on the platform, so that everyone can like it. So it is the same with the civil engineering as well. When we say we see a structure on the road, let's say we see a flyover, we say this is a work of a civil engineer, structural engineer, but it includes everyone in the backstage. We have a surveyor, we have an earthquake engineer, we have a geotechnical engineer, and then we have a roads engineer as well, who will set the alignments. And then we have other soil investigation, geotech reports. Geotech, I mean, the soil engineering is there, earthquake engineering is involved, traffic engineering is involved. Then if it is a river bridge, then hydraulic parameters are also there. So you need to check the hydrology of the bridge as well, doing all those catchment areas and all these things. And then again, you need to do the calculation part as well. So I mean, there are so many things you have to take care of in a single structure or in a single thing. So it is not only about the structures when we are talking about the civil engineering. There is a project management as well. So there are so many varied things that include civil engineering. So one should not just focus on the structures, that yes, we have to excel in structures only. That is the one we have to go. But you should also can take part into the geotechnical, into the soil engineering. You can also go into the traffic engineering, you can go into the highway engineering. So give importance to everything, not just jump to the structures. So now it comes to the what software should we learn. I would say in the college we don't have the much knowledge, but that where we should go, but like I earlier told, that these two softwares, AutoCAD and STAAD Pro, generally students go for these two softwares. But in the market there are now other softwares as well. There are good YouTube videos on them. Like I said, for the structures there is Midas, there is Civil 3D for the roads, and Midas you can also use for this as well, the buildings. It's basically a FEM software where you can design your. And then for the hydrology we have HECRAs, which help us to calculate the different hydraulic parameters. For the traffic, we have different softwares. For the payment, we have this IIT Pay with us. So there are so many, it depends upon your what thing you want to do and how you want to excel. And then you have, you all have the YouTube with you, you have all the knowledge with you, you can always search and go beyond what software should you learn. So please do accordingly what your thing is and just not focus on the structures. And again, there is the scope of the project management. I think you all might have learned about the CPM and the PERT methods, which helps you to how to find out which way to do the project in a simpler way or in a cheaper way, I would say, and in an effective way as well. So there are softwares like Primavera coming up in the market. It's a very common tool. I think most of you might be knowing it already. So you should know what kind of softwares are there and how should we do this. So there is a scope of project management as well in the civil engineering. So people are coming up. Earlier it was like this, that only the senior people can do the project management, but now there are schools, there are different MBA colleges who are offering infrastructure as well as project management and the civil engineering. I will Today I will not only talk about the bridge foundations, but I will try to correlate whatever subjects you have covered in your curriculum. And then again, we as a student, even when I was a student, I was not aware that where I can apply this subject matter. Like for example, if I say you might have gone for your survey trainings. So it is like a 1 week or 2 week thing. So you go on some site, maybe some hilly sites or somewhere. You just go for the survey things, and you make a traverse out of it, and then you submit your whole subject. Do you have any idea? Where we should put those things? Similarly, we do the OD surveys, the origin destination surveys. We do the traffic surveys. So do we know where to put those things? Where up? So I will try to correlate all those subjects with how we come up with the bridge and then the bridge foundations. So here as a topic today, the case study on it. As a you all can see the bridges and the foundation. So whenever there is a bridge, what comes up? So everyone has a slight picture in their mind of a bridge. Generally, we see a bridge when we are crossing a river, a major river, a small river. We have a small canals as well. We have flyovers, and then we have minor cross drainage structures as well. We call them culverts. What actually a bridge consists of? So we generally classify that these three things in which we divide the bridges. We have the superstructure. So when we say about the superstructures, it's the topmost part of the bridge, which may include your, depending upon what kind of bridge it is, depending upon its length. It may be normal slab bridge, so the superstructure will only consist of slab. Then again, it might consist of the beams, the T beams, the I beams, plus your slab. So you can say the superstructure consists of slab and the beams. It may consist of box girders, or it may consist of the pre-stressed girders. So you might have seen the metros in various metro cities. So it's like a segmental box gutters as well are there. So segmental construction is there. So the industry is coming up with so many new things that we cannot stick to one thing and we can say, yes, only the slab is there, only this is there. In the competition market, now the people are moving from RCC is reinforced concrete, to PSC. PSC is basically the pre-stressed concrete. So as a student, we never study about the PSC and the BTech courses, I should say. Maybe they might have included it now, but it was not there earlier. But I would say people, the students, or maybe the new joinees, or maybe the graduates, they should learn that what this term actually is. You may not learn all the things before execution, but you should at least know what is RCC and what is PSC, what is pre-stressed concrete, and where it is used and why it is used. So those sort of things that you need to put yourself ahead of the people, ahead of the companies they are looking for. You might be looking a person for the RCC, but if you say you know the PSC as well, not only all the design, but at least you know what actually it is and where it is used. So that that gives a good impression for the companies as well, and also for your seniors as well. And then coming to the substructure. So once we are done with the superstructure, we have a substructure which generally consists of, call it piers, but you can say pillars as normal pillars you might have seen while crossing a bridge, while crossing a flyover. Yeah, so it is very common in the flyovers that you see the pillars. So those all the pillars and the pillars caps, superstructure is rested. It all consists of a substructure. And then we come with the foundations. As the name suggests, foundation. So foundation is anything which is, the whole structure is founded on it. So basically, a foundation is everywhere. Making a structure, it should be founded on a, well-founded thing, so that all the structure is dependent upon the foundations. So this is something you cannot see, but it has a most important role in the structure. So foundations are generally embedded in the ground. So we might not see how the foundations are, but we can see the pillars, the substructure, and we can see always the superstructure, the slab. You can see the slab on the top, you can see the beams on the top, but you cannot see the foundations. It's always covered with soil, or with in the flyover things. It's always the paved road over there. When we are talking about the foundations, basically we have two kind of foundations. So one is the shallow foundations, and the other one is the deep foundations. So when I say what is a shallow foundation and what is a deep foundation, as the name suggests, shallow is something which is rested on the top. I mean, it's not a deep foundation. It is rested on the top. It is like a retaining wall foundation. We also call it open foundation. I'll show the photos in the upcoming slides. When we talk about the shallow foundations, so for the shallow foundations, we should how to decide that where we should put the shallow foundation and where we should go for the deep foundations. So where we have a good soil strata, let's say we are making a bridge in a rocky strata area. Let's say maybe in the hilly areas, or maybe where the strata is good, where we are getting a good soil capacity. We should know the capacity by the geotechnical investigation. So by geotechnical investigation, I mean the soil engineering. When we take all the soil samples from there, we do the borehole at the location of the bridge where the bridge is gonna construction. So we use the soil engineering to calculate all the parameters. We do all the SPT tests, and we get all the values from the tests, and then from those values we use all the formulas and whatever there in your curriculum to reach out a figure of safe bearing capacity. We call it a safe bearing capacity. So by safe bearing capacity, we mean that this bearing capacity, let's say it's 20 ton per meter square, or maybe 30 ton per meter square. That's a good capacity to have it. This means a meter square of area can bear a load of 30 tons. So this is, a good capacity. 30 tons means per meter square. Based on that, how much capacity you are getting, you can decide that if you want to go for your shallow foundations, or you want to go for your deep foundations. And not only the bearing capacities. When we are going into the bridges, you all might have seen, or maybe not, when we see the major bridges where the flow is too much heavy, we might see something scoring under the pillars, under the substructure. So by scoring, I mean washing away of the soil due to the flow of water. When we have a water flow which is moving at a huge velocity, soil around the pillars, around the foundation, it might go washed away. We can use hydrology and soil parameters in here. We can calculate the velocity. So our second subject of hydrology is also covered in here. We need to calculate how much scar is there in the pier locations and the abutment locations, and then we can find out that yes, this 3 meters of soil, it can wash away when there is a heavy flow. Then again, at that point, we cannot put the shallow foundations there. I hope you all are understanding on this point. If the 3 meter soil is getting washed away, you cannot put your foundation on the top. Literally be hanging in the air if all the soil washed away. Then we don't have any other method but the deep foundations. So we have to take care of those parameters. And the third thing is the liquefaction of the soil. And where the soil strata is quite poor, that you cannot put your open foundation over there, and at the time of the earthquake, that soil to liquefaction, it will not behave as a soil. It will have no strength. It will just fail if the soil is liquefiable. We need to check those parameters when we are going into a deep foundation, that we should go for it or not. Shallow foundations are generally used in the hilly areas where we have the rocky stratas, and the deep foundations are generally used where we have major rivers. We have like Ganges. We have the Ganges range. So most of the bridges in the river Ganga or Brahmaputra, they are on the deep foundations. And then the areas where we have very poor soil, there as well we go for the deep foundations. So now I will go on the next slide with what kind of foundations are there, the type of the foundations. Like I mentioned earlier, the type of the foundations, I have some small pictures from the Google here. You can always, go and see again these pictures. We have this open or shallow foundations. You can see the foundation is, this is the ground level, and it is resting on the almost on the top, be 1 meter or 2 meter down from the top. Generally it's 2 meter from the ground level, but it is on the top. You don't need to dig in deep for this. And this is like a pad footing. Even in the buildings we use this. We have isolated footings, we have combined footings, so it is like a normal footing. Like I said, 30 ton meter per square. Let's say we have a 30 ton per meter square in here. So this means 1 meter square of this area can be a 30 ton of capacity. And then we have pile foundations. And these two categories are in the deep foundations, pile and well foundations. Pile foundations, I mean, we have different piles which are driven through the soil. These are the raked ones. It can be straight as well. There are different type of pile foundations. It may be fixed on the top, it might not be fixed on the top. This one is the fixed. We have a pile cap, maybe free at the top, and then we may have different, bearing piles, cast in situ piles, driven piles. There's so many of them, but you need to find out that how many of you, as per the calculations, as per the vertical capacities of the pile, as per the horizontal capacities of the pile. You have all the loads coming up from the top, from the superstructure, from the substructure, and you calculate what reaction is one pile can bear. So you can calculate either you need a group of piles, either you need one pile, or how many of them you need. So you go with the deep foundation. So these can be as deep as 30 meters. So when you can see 30 meters, if you just imagine 30 meters, you can say 90 floors, 10 floors. You can say 10 floors. We have one floor as a 3 meter, let's say. They can be as deep as that. And the diameter of these circular piles, they can be rectangular as well, depending upon the casting yard or maybe the requirement of the project, the loadings. And in India, it is mostly circular with 1 meter dia or 1.2 meter dia. We generally put it as a group in the bridges, and we just drive them in, and we calculate what reactions we are getting on one pile, and then accordingly we just multiply it. That yes, if our load is this much, let's say our load is 1500 ton, so our capacity, if it is around 250 or something, then we may need 6 piles as a group. And then we have the well foundation. So this is one of the bigger foundation that we use as a deep foundation. Generally we use this well foundation where there is a liquefiable soil, and then there is a high score as well. Scoring is a main thing. So this is one of the most stable foundation. So it is a very big foundation. The diameters generally vary from 6 meters to 8 meters. So you generally make a hollow. The name comes from that we have a well, like we used to have in earlier times. We do have wells in our homes, in our backyards. It is that kind of structure only, but with load bearing capacities. So instead of this pile cap, there will be a well cap, and this well will be driven. So this is a bit complex to make well foundation at the sides. So India is moving ahead from the well foundations to the pile foundations, because it is easier to go with the pile foundation. This well foundation is, it goes on its own. The weight, you can put the weight on the top of it, but you need to wait till it is driven down. You just cannot drill and just put a pile. You have to wait till it goes down, and then you have to check if it is going straight or not. It may tilt or shift in either direction. You don't know when there might be some strata problems. There is a cutting edge at the end that will cut the ground till the end, but we might face some problems when it is being driven down. That is the one biggest challenge in the well foundations. So points on the foundations, I have just configured few points, how they are managed on the sites. With open or the shallow foundations, they are easy to construct. As you can see, we don't have to dig much. We can just place our foundation on the top. We have to check the stability. I think most of the students might have done this question of retaining wall design. So they might have checked the stability, overturning, sliding, and of course the design as well. So it is design as well. It is stable and cheap, and then not the excessive studies for the soil is not needed. You don't need to dig much for the different properties. You can just dig whatever is required, maybe 3 meter, 5 meter, till 5 meters. I think it is enough if you're having a good capacity. When we move to the deep foundations, we need extensive geotech studies. if we are if we are driving a pile of 20 meters, we need to study the soil till 30 meters, at least 30 meters, I would say. We should see what kind of soil layers are there, what kind of strata, what kind of boreholes we are getting from the soil till 30 meters, so that we can see if we have to go 20 meter. We are doing it on 20 meters, but the soil might not be there good at 20 meters, so you might have to do the extensive study that it may rest upon 22 meters or maybe 23 meters. So we need to do the extensive geotech studies for the pile foundation. It is expensive, but it is one of the most viable option at the poor soil locations, like I earlier mentioned. If the soil is poor, the one factor liquefaction, other factor is scoring, and the third is if the soil is poor. And we have a good stability, and the bigger bridges, if we see a lot of bigger bridges are there in India, so they provide a better stability if those are the high scoreable regions. And well foundation, almost all the points are same with the pile foundations, but the it is more expensive than pile foundations, and it is also the construction methodology is quite you have to wait for the things to come up. You just cannot drive the well and then go with it, so you have to wait till it is completed. So now the design, I mean, once you have decided that yes, you're gonna provide either shallow foundation, either deep foundation, then the things come up with the design, that how you want to fix your sizes. So the first thing is the stability, like the whatever the loads you are getting from the top. Like I earlier mentioned, we have superstructure, substructure, then the foundation. So we need to calculate all the loads coming up on it. It is live load, whatever coming on the bridge from there are traffic moving, the earthquake loads, the other superstructure, the wearing coat loads, and all kind of earth. There is earth behind the bridges as well. So you need to take care of all the loads and then calculate the reactions coming up on your foundation. And then you can decide if it is overturning or not, if it is sliding or not, and if the bearing capacity is good enough to have that pressure from the top. So as per those things, as per those reactions, you can fix the size, you can fix the number of piles, and you can also fix the diameter of the well. Various checks, I already mentioned that we need to check the sliding, overturning, or the bearing capacities of the foundations before proceeding. So what kind of codes we generally used? So in our BTech studies, we generally are limited to IS codes. So we generally go with IS 456 for the concrete and IS 800 for the steel. And then we have few, if people have done soil engineering advanced, you might have come across few IS 2911 or 2913, those kind of codes. But when we are designing a bridge, we generally use IRC 6 for the loadings on the bridges, IRC 78 for all the parameters on the foundations and substructure. And for the design, instead of IS 456, which is now almost obsolete in the market, we are using IRC 112. I think it is all these three codes which I mentioned, IRC 6, 78 and 112. They are readily available on the internet. You can just Google and download them to have a just an idea that how the things are being taken. And for the piles, I think we have IS 2911 as well. And for the soil investigation, we need to visit the sites. We have different agencies who are working in those geotechnical forms. So they do all these soil investigations for different locations. Like I earlier mentioned, if we have a shallow foundation, we don't have to go much beyond. If we have a deep foundation, then we have to further investigations. Coming to the failures in foundation, I mean this is one of the most top favorite thing to think upon. You design things to pick the failures. You always do that. But what if the whatever you have done in your office, if it doesn't meet with the site? That is the biggest challenge. So we have to be very precise about those things. Whatever things we are getting from the site, we should be very precisely, we will be checking those things, that if someone is giving us a capacity of 30 ton per meter square, the soil samples should be preserved very nicely. Generally when we are doing in our labs, we some of guys, we just copy the results from the grids, that yes, just to update our tables. When we are working in the industry, we should never do that. This is a matter of life for someone. If the structure is failing, someone might be driving on the top of the bridge. So that's why in the starting I told you that civil engineering is engineering of responsibility. So you should never go beyond things which you should never have done. So the few failures that I have listed in the foundations, you might have seen as well in the news and the various other parameters. There are many news in the world that yes, this bridge is being failed. So have you ever tried to find out why this bridge have failed? So for the next time, I think you should do that. Now you know few parameters, so you should go and search why it is failing. What was the purpose of this failure? The first is base pressure failure. We might not have that capacity on the site which we have on the paper. So there are few tests before going into the conducting for matching whatever there is on the page and it should be on the site. So the sliding failures, the overturning failures, these are the calculation errors. That's why in whatever you are designing, there are other forms as well. Government has made such a system that it should be checked through two agencies, and then the third agency should be doing work on the site. Again, that will be checked. The scoring failures, if you are not calculating the scoring properly, this is one of the most dangerous failures. Whenever scoring is there, the soil and the foundation, it just gets washed. Then you have nothing. Your bridge is hanging in the air, and even if a cycle is moving on the top, and even if something, it will collapse. You don't have anything at the bottom. It's hanging. If you put a load on the top, it will just sometimes it just goes with its self weight only. Let's remove all the other things, and then we have always have design mistakes or supervision, so the human errors. So we should try to be concentrate as much as possible when we are doing a civil engineering job. Now, I have seen few, I have collaborated few, iconic structures and foundations which you might be interested in. Taj Mahal, if we see Taj Mahal is founded on a well foundation, and then we have some wooden planks on the top. Eiffel Tower is founded on a pile foundations. There are pile foundations beneath the Eiffel Tower. And the Leaning Tower of Pisa, I think most of people know about why it is leaning. So yeah, it is mostly a open foundation. Now, where we have come in India, the scenario in jobs, like I earlier mentioned that Indian infrastructure is on a boom already. So there are many smart city mission projects. There are many rectic projects. India is targeting 40 kilometers of highways per day now. And then again, we have FTIs and the international markets, which are targeting to use engineering services from. So the world is open, but we need to find out the right skill set that we can use in our industry that will be helpful for the industry as well and for you as well. And there are jobs which are for the site as well and for the office as well. So it's all upon your interest that what kind of things you want to do. So yes, it's that's all. Yeah, thank you so much for being so